What if Muzan arrived at the swordsmith village? Season 3 of Demon Slayer had fans going wild after Nezuko conquered the sun. However, some men of culture would argue that it was a certain scene in episode 1 that had people wilding. But in any case, it went in and out like a storm, which he got fans asking for more. So here we are with an amazing scenario. What if Muzan arrived at the swordsmith village? How would the battle go? Will Michiro still win? Will you guys ever subscribe to my channel? Let's find out. So we'll divide this scenario into two parts. The first is the one where Muzan arrives right when the battle begins at both the fronts of Gyoko and Hontengu. And the second, wherein Muzan arrives right at the moment Nezuko gains immortality. The fights start as usual, with Gyoko kidnapping the swordsmiths and Hontengu sneaking into Tanjiro's quarters without a trace, only to be confronted by Michiro and Tanjiro simultaneously. While all this takes place, Mitsuri is busy taking care of the demons running amok in the main vicinity, while Gyoko roams around to look for his next target. An art piece. Now, as Orogi drags Tanjiro back to the quarters and Michiro is thwarted away by Karaku's fans, at this exact moment, Muzan too enters the swordsmith village through the hot springs in order to peep at Mitsuri. To eat Mitsuri. Whatever. Soon, Michiro runs into Kotetsu and follows Tanjiro's advice on helping people while saving the young boy against his better judgment. This leads Michiro to Hagenzuka's hut, where this time around, Michiro's senses are knocked to smithereens as he notices not only the upper 5 Gyoko, but the king of demons himself. Before Michiro could snap out of his dilemma, Muzan whips his tentacle and slices off Michiro's arm clean, while killing Kotetsu on the spot. Muzan then proceeds to move past Michiro, who's still frozen in shock, ordering Gyoko to finish him off quickly and meet him where Hontengu is, as he wants to kill the red-haired brat, aka Tanjiro himself. The pain in Michiro's arm finally catches up to him as he realizes that there's no way they can win this battle. However, in order to survive this battle, he'd certainly have to take care of Gyoko himself at the very least. Michiro stops the bleeding in his arm through his breathing. However, he realizes that his sword is still chipped and needs a replacement. But suddenly, he finds a sword tossed towards him through the air, revealing that Kanamori was watching everything from a distance and has already sent a Kasugai crow to the headquarters as well as fetched Michiro's sword. Michiro takes a deep breath and unleashes his sword on Gyoko, using his other hand. However, he soon realizes that Gyoko can teleport through his vases. Michiro asks Kanamori to run. However, before he could escape, once again Gyoko unleashes his poison-ridden fish monsters, who spew their darts towards the swordsmiths. Michiro tries to go for Gyoko's head without thinking even a second about Kanamori. However, as he dashes forward while taking a glance at the dead Kotetsu, Tanjiro's memory flashes in front of his eyes, and subsequently, through his red eyes, he's reminded of his late father and his kind words. Michiro changes his trajectory mid-flight and protects Kanamori from the darts by using his body as a shield. Now, with one arm lost and his body pumping Gyoko's venom throughout his system, Michiro takes a last look at Kotetsu, who seemed to be protecting Rengoku's sword handle to the last of his breaths, which once again puts Michiro into a trance-like state where all his memories come rushing back to him. Suddenly, as Michiro is about to faint, the Demon Slayer mark appears on his body, and without wasting a single second, Michiro initiates his 7th form, and with the most deceptive movement of his sword, tricks Gyoko into retreating into his vase. However, as soon as he comes out of another one, the young swordsman is seen standing right above it as he tosses Gyoko's head off his body and cuts it to smithereens. The mark fades off of Michiro's body, and the mist Hashira faints, making Kanamori carry him. Meanwhile, Muzan slowly makes his way towards the battle between Hontengu, Tanjiro, Genya, and Nezuko, while replaying his fated encounter with Yoriichi about 500 years ago in his mind again and again, making his nerves slowly crawl up on him. However, before Muzan could reach the other end of the forest, Tanjiro and Genya had already taken off the heads of Hontengu's 4 clones, and soon, Sakito too turned all 4 clones into Zohakuten, claiming that he's going to tenderize the meat before Lord Muzan comes to chew on it. Well, ew! And also, remind me to use better analogies in the comments going forward. Anyway, before Zohakuten could crush the bones of Tanjiro, Genya, and Nezuko, Mitsuri arrived at the scene and fended off the demon's attack. However, as soon as the love Hashira lands on the ground, her legs are cut off in a jiffy as Muzan's cat eyes pierce through the darkness and Zohakuten bows in front of the king of demons. A baffled Tanjiro watches in horror as Muzan rips Mitsuri to shreds and impales Genya faster than he could see it happening. The expression on Muzan's face becomes excruciatingly unbearable to watch as he walks down towards Nezuko and catches her by the throat. He then proceeds to inject a ton of his blood into her body, making it unable to hold this demon transformation and ultimately killing her. Muzan, after a long time, finally confronts Tanjiro once again as he wipes his head clean off his body to make sure that no sun-breathing inheritor remains with his life intact. Okay, I know. This got a bit too dark and a bit too fast. But what can you expect? No one was actually ready to take Muzan in his full power head on. And even in the original story, the Hashiras were able to flank him only due to Tamayo's medicine, which made him age thousands of years. However, our next scenario might be a bit more interesting, as Muzan does arrive at the village a bit earlier. Now, in this timeline, Muzan is actually transported to the other end of the forest, right when Tanjiro cuts down Gyoko for good. As Nezuko conquers the sun and Muzan watches it all happen through Hantengu's eyes, he rushes through the edge of the cliff where Muchiro and Genya are resting. Genya suddenly notices Muzan standing right behind them, making the Slayer panic. He immediately pushes everyone down the cliff along with himself in an attempt to crawl into the sunlight and save all of them. Meanwhile, the past 1,000 years of Muzan's life flash before his eyes as he gazes into the grassy field and spots the first demon ever to conquer the sun, aka Nezuko Kamado. However, Muzan realizes that the sun has already fully revealed itself, and he'll get turned to dust within seconds once he steps foot into the field. However, the taste of freedom rebels in Muzan's tongue as he decides to cover his body with heaps of flesh and transform into his giant demon baby form. Meanwhile, an injured Tanjiro embraces Nezuko with a hug and a sense of relief. However, soon his relief turns into uncertain chaos as he spots and almost burns up demon monstrosities coming towards them at an unbelievable pace. Tanjiro, frustrated with Hantengu's annoying ability, tries to rationalize the new demon as one of Hantengu's forms, but as soon as the demon baby inches closer, his face turns pale due to the sheer horror of the situation. Tanjiro catches a whiff of Muzan's Michael Jackson cologne in the air. He catches a whiff of Muzan's scent in the air and is thrown into disbelief and shock. As Tanjiro's grip starts loosening on his blade, Genya shouts from the cliff, stating that the demon approaching him is indeed Muzan. However, they can take him down right here and now by exposing him fully to sunlight. Tanjiro clenches his sword, waiting for the Demon King to finally reveal himself to him once again. However, before Muzan could reach up, a flailed chain ran up through the demon baby, knocking it off balance. Suddenly, Giyu, Sanemi, Obanai, and Gyomei reveal themselves, claiming that Master Kagaya's foresight was actually accurate and that the greatest calamity in the history of Japan was about to unfold in the swordsmith village. Suddenly, before Tanjiro could utter a word to the other Hashiras, Giyu stood in front of him, claiming that he could handle this starting now. However, Tanjiro immediately asks him to protect Nezuko instead, as she's the one Muzan is actually after. Giyu, however, calms Tanjiro down and reveals that Tengen is here as well, and that being the fastest among them, he's taking the responsibility to escort Nezuko to a safe place before any harm reaches her. Muzan gazes at all the Hashiras present at the scene and curses the Ubayashiki family, as they have once again separated him from his immortality. Muzan realizes that defeating all the present Hashiras and chasing down Tengen while the sun is climbing the sky would turn out to be a death sentence. Thus, like all other anime villains, Muzan gives a monologue stating that he's just a single step away from gaining immortality and ending them forever. Suddenly, a gate to the Infinity Castle opens up beneath the shadow of Muzan's giant baby form, and the Demon King begins to fall into his lair. But due to a wild twist of fate, Sanemi throws a bottle filled with strange objects inside. Muzan, unaware of what's coming towards him, makes no haste to get back to safety. However, before he could completely get into the castle, a giant array of spiked flails erupt out of the bottle Sanemi just threw at him, trapping the Demon King. As Muzan's demon baby form burns away, he's shown to be stuck in the flails, unable to move. Muzan quickly summons his tentacles to cut through the flail. However, as soon as they erupt out of his back, they are cut down by Obanai as he flanks Muzan from behind. Immediately, Gyomei rises to the occasion and wraps Muzan's body around with his flails. Thus, a tussle begins between the Demon Slayers and Muzan, wherein the Demon King tries his best to break free of Gyomei's weapon as well as the spikes, while the Slayers latch up to Gyomei's chain to pull him into the sunlight and kill him. Finally, Muzan uses his last resort, which he used only once before during his fights with Yorichi, and bursts his body into thousands of pieces, some of which fall and burn on the ground, while others fall into the Infinity Castle as its gates close. Well, this was the closest the Slayers can come to defeating Muzan without the Demon Slayer mark, so if you like this video, like and comment your favorite video idea, as we might be able to make a video on it just for you. See ya!